Hi everyone, I'm Jude Hotep, the Goddess Astrologer and Alchemical Initiatrix. We are going to get into the daily astrology reading for this Monday, September 12th, 2022. I did the sun sign horoscopes for all 12 signs on the Light Goddess podcast, which is every Monday, which you can find in iTunes, Stitcher, and in the links below. So you can find that and listen to your sun sign horoscopes for this week. This is an interesting week. We have so many planets retrograde. It's really a deep internal time. And it's that time of going inward. The big event right now is inside. Pluto's retrograde, Saturn's retrograde, Neptune's retrograde, Jupiter, Uranus. Mercury is now fully retrograde, and Mars is in shadow. And we only had Venus before, but now Venus has become a morning star. And when she's a morning star, it's her dive. We can't see her. So it's her dive into the underworld because she is so close to the sun. So when Venus is about 13 degrees or closer to the sun, we can no longer see her. She becomes this morning star. And sometimes it's for a couple of weeks, sometimes it's for months. And right now she's going to be there until December, until Jupiter comes out of retrograde. So this means that it's a deeply internal time. It means that there's shifts inside. It means that if we're trying to get things from the external, trying to have somebody get praise, aplomb, approval from external sources, we're going to meet with the grief that that causes us internally by not getting that approval and not having that reward or that feedback. So we want to get the feedback from within our own soul. This time in astrology, it happens on purpose. It's happening so that we can retrieve. We want to do many things with this energy. We want to retrieve our power that's been lost by being so externally focused. When the planets are going forward, we have more external focus. We're achieving more in the outer world. We're going out in the world to make things happen. And so we often pay less attention to the inside. And then in our culture is driven to pay very little attention to the inside and little attention to emotions. Obviously, this world is changing. Women are awakening all around the planet, and we're changing things because when women rise, things change because it's our value systems that are seen in the world and the culture and that we put forward. Unless women are sticking around and staying in that damaged masculine energy that they have, or the wounded feminine. So we do have to do our inner work, of course. So we retrieve our power from being so externally focused. We retrieve our power from not doing the deep dive inside and looking into the pockets of our self-worth where there's issues. I'm currently, I was dealing with a woman who's saying, I don't need to defend myself. She was talking about a situation that she was going through, and she's like, I don't have to defend myself to this situation. But the thing is that it's really, when we got into it and looked at it, she didn't want to look inside and see how that was all about her. That was about the deep self-worth issues inside. That was about feeling guilty for the actions that she had taken that had produced some severe results that were not on purpose. They were not malicious, but she didn't want to face them. And when we could go in and do that work together, and she was in that sacred safe place to really face the things, because we all do things that result in really bad circumstances that we did not intend and that we did not want to occur. Something that happened for me is I was 24 and got my cat vaccinated with a rabies vaccination. Well, A, I don't do that. B, this vet wasn't trustable. He had all the signs of not being trustworthy, not keeping up on dates and proper records and proper timing. Also, it's a vaccination that's not stable. It's not known to be very stable. And so it has a very short shelf life. And this guy didn't have things clean. He didn't have things together. He didn't care anymore. He was just biding his time until he passed away and retired, basically. And it wasn't very long upcoming. So he just sat there and smoked cigarettes and drank coffee all day. He did nothing, literally, until there was an appointment. So if I had not been 24 years old and a child, I could have seen some of these things and said, if I'm going to do this, you're not the one to do it with. And so because I made that decision, my cat had issues for the rest of his life, and he almost died. And so basically, that was a decision I had to live with the rest of my life. It was not intentional. It was absolutely horrible, actually. And I had to deal with the guilt that I felt years later when my cat had issues, the guilt that I felt years and years later when he had neurological issues. It was like it kept coming back up at different intervals, this decision I had made. And I had to deal with that guilt every time that it happened, every time the guilt came up, every time the just sorrow, that I can't take it back. I can't change it. I can't change it that I basically fucked with the health of my animal for the rest of his life because of this decision I made as a fucking child. And so it's like, this stuff goes down in our lives. We do things that we don't intend on doing. We do things that have horrible consequences. We make decisions. We have experiences. We do things in life. But it's that if I'm defensive to everybody and to vets for the rest of my life because of that, then I'm not being able to live. I'm actually in some sort of soul cage because I'm not really going in and doing the inner work. So this example, me just being really super raw with you about something I experienced where it produced all of these things that I had to deal with internally for years later, that we want to face the things within ourselves, because then we're not in a soul cage that limits us. I could have easily have been up in arms about so many things because of that. And I could have blamed it outward, which, the vet absolutely had a responsibility in that. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. But so did I. And I had the bigger one because I let him do it. Right. But also I was just a kid too. So I had to let myself off the hook and really allow myself to release the guilt also, and to move through that and to let it go and to have compassion for myself, just deferring to outside authority. It's really a lesson too in authorities and who we give over our own authority to and why. And because it's acculturated in our culture that anybody in a white coat has more authority over you, supposedly, that knows more than you. Know your body intuitively tells you exactly what's right for you and what's not. And that's when it comes down to a surgery, a medical procedure, to what house to buy, what car to buy. Should I buy tires at this place or this other place? Your intuition, your body tells you everything you need to know. So this deep internal time that we're going through, humanity is being asked, like, are you Pluto trying to the sun, going inside and really being discerning about what is deeply unconscious and hidden? Pluto is the deep underworld. It's what's not known. So it's like, Pluto is our intuition. Pluto is our connection to our guides. Are we hearing our guides? Are we connecting with them and meditating every day to connect and heal and really strengthen that bond and that relationship? Like, everyone is gifted, but are you utilizing the gift and connecting to your guides? Are you utilizing your intuition and understanding that your emotions, which is Pluto too? Pluto is deeply emotional. Are you understanding that your emotions are your communication system? They're communicating things to you. This is right for me. This isn't right for me. Are you hearing the communication of your own inner wisdom, your own inner authority, your own inner seer that sees and knows absolutely what's magical and mystical and what is a fucking scam to be aware of, and what's right? And here's the thing, we're trying to just get things done. We just want the outcome so much. And sometimes we've been trying to do things in our life for years that we just want some results. We just want some traction in life. We just want to see some fruition, that we'll move past the signals and the signs that our intuition is telling us that don't go ahead and sign this deal. Don't go ahead and go with this person. Don't go ahead and do this thing. And you consciously, in a conscious mind level, may not understand why and what until much later. And to really trust your own guidance system, trust your feelings, trust your inner knowing, even if your conscious mind isn't synced up and integrated with that knowing yet. Oftentimes, our conscious mind, it takes the journey, the spiritual journey, to link our conscious mind up with our intuition, so that our conscious mind can process, like, in real time what our intuition is telling us. So I really encourage you, with Venus going into the underworld, which I talk about for all 12 signs in the sun sign horoscopes on the Light Goddess podcast for this Monday, to really look at where is that affecting you for these 4 months coming up? Where is Venus going deeply inside to ask you to approve of yourself? Where are the pockets within yourself where you don't feel approved of because you didn't have it at childhood, or you didn't have it somewhere in your life, or whatever the reason is? None of that matters. It's not right, wrong, good, or bad that you sought approval externally. We're just humans. It's not bad. It's just noticing it and then being like, let me go in and make sure that I have the subconscious programming that I approve of myself, that I am actually in this present moment with myself, moment to moment, slowed down enough to really engage with the decisions I'm making moment to moment. And if they're right for me, hearing my intuition, hearing the nudges, hearing the pulls and the callings and that inner voice. And Venus is our deep desires. It's our passions. It's what we want. It's how we feel loved and feel comforted. Feel comforted. Two EDs. And so it's that feeling of feeling what we deeply desire. So if it's our deep desires, and we have this square to Mars, then we must go inside, because the square is a choice between Mars and Venus. It's like, what are you going to make a choice to focus on in your life, since we're going inside right now? And with Mars and Gemini, there's a scatter shot of things to focus on. There's a lot of ideas coming in. I have a lot of ideas, but which ones are actually the right ones to spend energy and time on? Because energy and time is our power. That's our power. Everyone's saying this phrase, own your power, but what the hell does that actually mean? Right? It's so fluffy, but what our power is our time. It's where we invest our energy. It's what we give our focus over to. And a lot of times we're giving our focus over to subconscious crap, or escaping, running away from the subconscious crap by watching TV, by scrolling, by on social media, by doing mindless activities. And a lot of times our mindless activities can produce some results, but there's a big difference to what results they could produce if we were focused and concentrated on what we're creating in the moment, rather than going from flower to flower to flower to flower. And okay, you finally make some honey. Or how about we go get all the basswood trees all at once and make a huge batch of basswood tree honey, and then we'll go and make a goldenrod honey. Or maybe we'll combine these two instead of ending up with some kind of almond cherry wood honey that's really gross. Actually, I don't know if you know anything about honeys, but a lot of the California honeys come from like almond plants, and it's not very good. It's really dark. It's not good honey. It doesn't taste good. You can use it in things to sweeten things, like for baking, so it has its place and its use. But do you see what I'm saying? That this Gemini likes to float from flower to flower to flower, and it's very tangential, and it's very many things. But take the Gemini fun energy, the child youthful energy, and definitely take that energy and use it to go inside and decide, square, what the deep values that you have, the deep desires that you have. How do you focus in on it and collapse all the timelines in on one timeline to focus and bring that to fruition? Because this time, this right now of all these retrograde planets, is fertile. It is very fertile with the blooms that are going to be coming in December and January. So this is the time now to do this internal work. There's this opposition between Jupiter and Mercury. Mercury is retrograde in Libra, and will be going back to 24 degrees of Virgo. So this Mercury retrograde opposite Jupiter, Jupiter is our understanding. And so when we do our Jupiter, this Aries, when we're independent, individuated, and autonomous, and really in that youthful, like, no, I'm a unicorn, I can make this happen, I make things happen, period. Like I'm magical and I can make my dreams come true. That Jupiter and Aries. But it's in that opposition, then we need to not be aggressive and a dick about it. We need to diplomatic. We need to be solidly grounded in our own footing, which is this Venus energy, which Venus in Virgo is saying, hey, let's get organized. Let's be practical about what we're doing, and have a schedule and a routine to our deep desires. So the square of Mars and Venus is saying, make a decision on the couple of things you're going to focus on. This Venus is saying, let's get organized, grounded, and prepared. And then this Jupiter Mercury opposition is saying, let's be solidly grounded and feel really good. That's when we're going to have the balance, Libra, to be able to go after what we understand at this moment, and realize that with Mercury retrograde, we don't have all the answers, and we're not going to, and we're not meant to. And it's okay to be in the question, to be in the wonderment, because Mercury is wonderment. That Gemini energy is wonderment. It is magic. It is love. And we just had this Pisces moon, that full moon, which is all about the wonderment and the imagination and the ethereal. It's like, let's dream things into being, all while we do focus on a couple of things that have been in the works for a really long time that we want to see all the way through to fruition. And this moon here having conjunct will conjunct go through from Saturday night into Sunday, turned into Aries around 1ish or so mountain time, and then conjunct Chiron and Aries. So then it kind of hit, against our ego wound, and it's like, do we have a healthy ego or an unhealthy ego? And are we being too aggressive, like, I know everything, I don't need any help from anybody, which is that Aries? Or is it like, no, like what's out there, the information that I could learn that could really help me reach my goals? And then it'll conjunct Eris today, which is she is really fierce, and she's a warrioress, and she fights for justice and for fairness and equality, and for everyone having what they need in this society, and everyone standing up as a leader, and is counted. If we live in a community, then everyone matters. We don't leave people out. So this moon we're hitting this Chiron and this Eris. And so this moon is going to go through these questions about where we stand in our know-it-allness and in our fierce determination to work for the betterment of humanity in this world, for something that really matters for all of us, and to work for the betterment of our own life, but to serve this higher goal of evolution. And really some of that stuff doesn't really turn me on, this higher goal of evolution, this higher goal of working for humanity. Sometimes this doesn't really turn you on, but you know what turns you on is, like, for myself, I deserve a better life. I am working for the betterment of humanity. It's just my nature, it's who I am. So what about if I use this Eris to work for a world that's just for women and just for all people, and that there's this, not this Aries know-it-all, but yet rather this all ideas matter. This Gemini is about diversity, this Mars and Gemini, for 7 months. Mars doesn't spend 7 months in a sign. So this is an unusual period. So we have to look at, why is Mars here for 7 months? It's because it's about diversity. But where we lack diversity in humanity is diversity of mindset, diversity of perspective of life and how we see life, and letting everybody's perspective be okay. And we don't have to fight over supposition, over many truths. We all have our own personal truth and what's right for us, and standing in the autonomy of that Eris, and also realizing that everyone needs to live by their own truth, because there's no other drumbeat for them to live by. And it's the old world, the old paradigm that says, no, everybody should believe in this one thing. And that's why so many people, so many amazing groups that are trying to do good for the world, end up not really making big enough waves in this world and making a lot happen, because they're so fractioned out. They're so like, I'm trying to say a word, but it's not coming to mind. They're so fractured. Fractoid. That's not a word, but that's the word that's coming up. Fractoid. Um, what's the word? Okay, well, anyways. So the wave, the impact is less, right? So this moon is gonna be in this really powerful, I want to make things happen, I want to get things done, Aries energy. But with all these retrograde planets, there can be more fatigue and more tiredness, and more needing to rest and be deeply introspective, reflecting and looking inside for the directives. Our directives are coming from inside right now, and that Venus retrograde is the directives internal. So we have raw intention. I love how it's like just this raw intention, and it's this lock and key. Like there's something inside that's worth putting a lock in, keeping, not secret but sacred, keeping just enclosed, like it's sacred. It's not everybody gets to have access. So this intention is keep it close to your vest until it really has roots and wings to fly. Do you then tell people? And this raw intention, what's that Venus, like what's the raw, the Pluto, the really deep down desires of your soul that maybe you haven't even gotten real about, because we've been in a society that chases the Joneses thing, the car, the house, the money, the prestige, the hierarchy. And I mean, I don't know about you, but that's never drawn me. It's always been so soulless. It's just it doesn't matter at all. And I want things that I want for my own reasons to have them, or because I like them, but not for image. I've never wanted it for image. And there's just so little soullessness. There's so little soul in that. There's a lot of soullessness there. And Aries is that image. Aries is how people see you. So with this Aries moon, it can go through that part of our inner pockets of self about like how people see us, and if we're confident in that, or what our relationship to that is. Does it matter to us so much that it informs our behavior, instead of us doing the behavior that we think is right for our soul and for our projects and for what we're creating in the world? Is something else dictating and guiding our behavior? Collaboration of souls, but it was in self-care mode. And collaboration of souls is this Aquarius energy. It's all of us coming together to do something powerful for humanity. And there's some things in here that really spark some good thoughts. Doing too much on your own. So like the self-care message for this, like the alignment message is like, are you trying to do it all on your own without collaborating with other people, without realizing the resource that we are to each other? A lot of women won't trade. So you have to have the money when you're building a business. You know, if you're past a mill, depending on what your assets and what your bills were before that, maybe it won't matter probably. But until you're really at a mill, and like think about all the taxes, so what do you really have, right, versus the mill? But you know, we have to support each other and realize the resource that we are each other to help us all build and grow successfully. A group of women around the world who have money, who are leading and guiding and putting our value system of humanity, fairness, justice, love, you know, intuition, guided life, a connection to soul and the spirit realm, which like we are soul. So this tangible world doesn't exist without the invisible world. So it's like us all women together informing what society's value system is going to be lived upon, because that value system has been chosen by a very small population for a very long time that want to dominate and control humanity. So women having money around the world get to have their value system being the one that's in play. And there's a lot of women that went into their masculine and just upheld the patriarchy when they made money and they became successful. We have to change these dynamics to put what really matters forward. And so are you trying to do it all on your own, or are you realizing the value that we are and we can trade resources? Maybe you're a marketing guru and I'm a soul coach, and we can trade resources. We both need each other's sources so we can help each other rise into the higher heights. There isn't competition. It can be healthy and friendly competition, but there's no other actual competition. It's actually a spell. It's a program. And when you're in that, you're completely at the mercy of that, and your whole life revolves around that competition and feeling diminished by other people's greatness instead of just realizing the greatness of you. Difficulty trusting others and taking them at face value. Problems with partners. Taking people at face value is an interesting thing, because people do lie, people do hide their heart, people do have all kinds of things that are unconscious to them, and maybe you see their unconscious patterns, but they don't. And as a gifted person, you have to realize that you can often see unconscious, subconscious behaviors that other people can't, that they're not awake to. And so they're not telling you the untruth. Actually, they just don't know. They're not connected to that. And that's what our work does in the world, is help others awaken to all the parts of themselves to do that. So to realize what other people know and do not know, as a seer, as a psychic, as a sage, as a medium, as a channeler. And also trusting people. Trusting a people is about trusting your intuition to know when to go with the person, when not. One person could be great, but maybe not all the time. And it's, again, has nothing to do with whether they're malicious or not. Maybe they are, but like maybe they're just not malicious, but they just have unconscious behaviors, or they're living through subconscious beliefs or limiting beliefs, or these things, and things, the ways they behave just don't serve you. So to know when to go and when not to go with that person. But that doesn't mean the person is bad or untrustworthy as a whole. Like that's the Scorpio north-south node of just making everything all or nothing. They're all bad, they're all good. It's like not true that we really have so many parts to our consciousness. What else wants to come forward for us? This is a long reading today. I've been trying to make them about 15 minutes or so. But I just had a lot to say about this chart today. So creator water. So this water energy, emotions. We do have a lot of emotions energy in the skies. And we do have a lot of changeable, mutable energy. Water seeps into every little crack, every little cranny. So our emotions, they're there no matter what, and they're in every little part of us. So when we get poked over here, prodded over here, we have this circumstance in life, or we have that thing that happens, it pokes old emotions that are from years ago or a long time ago to be provoked and come up. And when it arises, it's needing released and resolved. So that's why it arises. So it's like, yes, let it come up. And we're in a time of humanity where, like no other time in our past, it's constantly going to be this evolving and evolution and doing the inner work and moving forward and advancing and upgrading and evolving out loud. And it's so beautiful. So let's see if there's any other card. Creator alchemy, but it's in protection. It's in self-care. So creator alchemy, like what do you need to be able to alchemize the troubling things in your heart right now? And I'll give you an example. I'm having an issue with my animals, and it's giving me some trouble right now, and some old ways, some old patterns of how I dealt with things in the past that were just automatic pattern are coming up. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna repattern this old response and do this differently now. So something natural got provoked by a situation, and I'm alchemizing it very consciously. But since this is in protection, what do you have to do to alchemize it? I have to do certain things. I have to definitely be connected to a place of joy. I have to do some relaxation, taking care of myself, and giving myself some extra rest and reflection time and journaling time right now, and emotional processing time, and not expect so much of giving myself extra compassion. And when I do those things, quantum leaps happen. Things move fast. Things move beautifully. So let yourself be where you're at on your timeline. Don't be positive if the subconscious beliefs that are churning up a bunch of behaviors and emotions and thoughts aren't really positive. Because if your positive believing thinking isn't aligned to your subconscious beliefs, it's for naught. So I'm sending you lots of love on this Monday. The sun sign horoscopes are up, so go over to the White Goddess podcast, which is linked below, and listen to those. I am doing videos and great content every day on Instagram and TikTok. So I do astrology information and tidbits, all things to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you, and entertain, and give you the information that you need about the astrology energies, and sharing the overcoming of the hard, challenging pain, loss, and struggle in life. And so you can follow me in any of those places, Jude Hotep. And I'm really glad you are here. If you'd like to book an astrology reading, you can do that at thegoddessastrologer.com. And please like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe. And if you could share it with others that could really benefit from this support. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love, and I'll talk to you on the next daily astrology video.